President Trump says he won't agree to any changes in the tariffs that he implemented on a country unless there's no trade deficit. But an economist that WENY News spoke with says that way of dealing with trade is unrealistic. Our Washington correspondent Rachel Knapp joins us live with more on this. Rachel?
Good evening, Nick. So economists say that the formula the administration is using to determine these reciprocal tariffs simply just does not make any economic sense. They say that it doesn't factor in things like supply chains, non-tariff trade barriers, capital flows, geography, all those things into account. Now, an economist that I spoke with says that some of these countries have a large trade deficit with us simply because they are not as wealthy as us, so they are unable to buy as many U.S. goods as we buy from them. A White House official tells me countries like Japan, Israel, and Vietnam are having leader-to-leader discussions with the president, looking to make a deal on the tariffs the U.S. has imposed.
But I said, we're not going to have deficits with your country. We're not going to do that, because to me a deficit is a loss. We're going to have surpluses, or we're at worst going to be breaking even.
This is simply just unrealistic and just a very misguided way of looking at trade.
An economist with the Tax Foundation, a nonpartisan tax policy nonprofit, says a trade deficit isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Well, I got to get my clothes dry cleaned, right? I have a trade deficit with my dry cleaner. I give them money. They provide a service to me. I'm not producing anything. I'm not giving them, any good or service in exchange. Is that a bad outcome? No. I mean, they are better at dry cleaning, my clothes than I am. So I'm agreeing to give them money, in exchange for a service that I am unable to provide for myself. And the analog to trade is that there are just certain countries that are just better at producing things than we are, such as various, food products that we don't have, that we're unable to produce because we don't have, say, the right climate or environment.
He also adds, in most cases, there's a trade deficit with most countries because they're significantly poorer than us.
There's just no world in which Vietnam and Cambodia, for instance, to just pick two. I mean, because they have we have large trade deficits with that. I mean, there's no world in which they are going to be buying more from us than we buy from them simply because they are poorer.
And Nick, one more thing to add, economists tell me that trade with these other countries is really beneficial because these other countries provide a lot of labor that we don't necessarily have a lot of here in the U.S. Economists add that there's not a large workforce in the U.S. really clamoring for those large manufacturing jobs. Nick, back to you.